making every weave. Women are rising at the edge of the pyramids. Behold, the sun is shining and chanting the songs of freedom. Beware, the moon have spoken. You are free, an African woman, you are free. You are free, an African woman, you are free. Let your name ululate from within. Let your name be the center of attraction. Let your name be the center of development.
So one discerns that the Honorable Dr. Dlamini Zuma's remark spoke directly to the centrality of women in development, from the most fundamental to the most sophisticated, from bringing new lives into the world, to being a Nobel Prize winner, from being a nurturer and teacher to being an activist and soldier, where they have the freedom to realize their potential. And where they don't, it can be a miserable and constraining existence. An unbelievable 600 million women live in societies where domestic abuse of women, for instance, is not considered a crime.
But sadly, there are very minimal resources put to implementation of those national plans of action. All those national plans of action today also recognize that we cannot just have 16 days of no violence against women and girls, but we must call to action 365 days to end violence against women and girls. South Africa also has such a plan, and we want to celebrate those achievements.
So we have the opportunity to build a better future for ourselves and for the world. Are we going to grab that opportunity? Let us maybe take a step back and say, what is the symbolism of today as the 8th of March and the International Women's Day?
It would seem to me when you were speaking, Ambassador Mtintso, and when you were speaking, Ambassador Taylor, that legislation, partnership between men and women, and many other ideas that are said to be essential for articulating justice or the dignity of women or dealing with violence against women, whether at an individual level, at a systemic level, at an institutional level, are important. But my worry is that even though there might be very good laws that seem to be enabling or protective of women, there seems to be some sense of dissonance between the enforcement of the rights that are articulated in the laws.
We think that the UN is there to set international norms and guidelines, and is for the countries to translate that into their own domestic, not just legislation, because that's just the beginning. Legislation is extremely important, but that's the beginning. And you have to take the legislation in your domestic space and build practical paths.
I just first wanted to respond to my sister who gave the keynote and say that, yes, indeed, we have to have a continental approach and a continental solidarity. But it's my perception that it's most difficult to establish a continental frame, because there is this big thing called globe, which marches across all these continents, which doesn't enable or allow a continent to have its identity. The global economic forces are so individualized in cartels and corporates who have their own system of governance over all the countries, not only continents. And to overcome them would be one of the greatest challenges. And my own view, having lived in South Africa for a while and got to know Thabo and Zenele and other friends who are here like Thenji and others, is that if there's one continent which can do it, it's the continent of Africa.
What do you think our problem is? What are we as young women not getting about the role that we need to play in the liberation of women?
What if we thought about the fact that marching, protesting, sitting in, petitioning, and all this invaluable struggle tools that got us here against the people who also own them cannot work. So we expect the same tools to work against the master. The master is a different master. So these tools cannot work. And the tools that can work have to be new tools. And perhaps young women are imagining, and I think there is some evidence that some young women's spaces are imagining them. And part of the lack of imagination is in our inability to recognize what some of those are, because we expect feminist consciousness to look a certain way. We expect feminist articulation to look a certain way. We think a women's movement, a feminist movement, is going to look the way it has always looked. Well, it does. But it needs to start to look radically differently if it is to work and if it is to come up with the kind of audacious vision that we need to take forward what we have inherited and benefited from and worked for, whatever, from previous movements.
But it does not mean that, as Pumla is saying, there needs to be appetite for you to wake up for your own future. We are the past, as you can see, but the future, you are the future.
And of course our students, the Timali students, and those that particularly ask questions or engaging, and I'm sure many wanted to debate further, but unfortunately we're out of time.
We'll be looking at issues of research and innovation across the various disciplines and what we can do. We are a university in service of humanity.